Hey guys, it's Belle, and in this video we are going to be reading through and translating part of St. Augustine's commentary on Psalm 4 verse 9, which is In pace in ipsum obdormiam et somnium capiam. And by the way, quick sort of side note on this, the Dungeons and band Sultry has a really good song which is based on this psalm, and it actually has the lyrics incorporated into it. I'll put a link to where you can watch that song on YouTube, and you can follow Sultry's Bandcamp because they're quite a cool dungeon synth musician, in my personal opinion, and I quite like the song. But that's beside the point. These videos are a companion video to the video that will be released at some point, where I go over the Old Saxon commentary on the Psalms. So, because I believe that the Old Saxon Psalm commentary draws quite heavily from this one, and that video will also be linked in the description of this video. So, without much further ado, if you want to have a go at translating these comments on your own, feel free to pause the video and then have a go at translating it, and then you can check it against what I say in the video. So, that being said, let's read the Latin. In pace in ipsum obdormiam et somnium capiam. Recte enim speratur a talibus omnimoda mentis habellinatio, a mortalibus rebus et miserarium seculi huius oblivio, quae nomine obdormitiones et somni recenter et prophetice significatur, ubi summa pax nullo tumulto interpellavi potest, sed ociam non tenetur in hac vita, sed post hanc vita sperandum est. Hoc enim ipsa verba ostendunt, quae futuris sunt temporis. Non enim dictum est, aut obdormivi et somnium cepi, aut obdormio et somnium capio, sed obdormiam et somnium capiam. Tunc corruptibile hoc induetur incorruptione, et mortale hoc induetur immortalitate. Tunc absorbebitur mors in victoriam. Hoc est unde dicitur, si autem quod non videmus speramus, per patientiam expectamus. Okay, so what does all of this mean? In pace in ipsum obdormiam et somnium capiam. This is one of my favorite lines. It's really beautiful. In peace, in that itself, I will rest, and I will sort of fall asleep, and I shall take my sleep. So obdormiam can sort of mean repose in the sense of die, basically, like finally falling asleep. Recte enim speratur a talibus omnimoda mentis ab alienatio. It's a difficult word. So, omnimoda ab alienatio is like a sort of, well, literally like alienation in all manners. And it's mentis here, so a complete alienation of the mind. A talibus, it's by such people, referring to the faithful people, because just earlier Augustine was talking about what the faithful man will hope for. So, by the faithful, a complete alienation of the mind, speratur, it is hoped, or it is expected. A mortalibus rebus, so a complete alienation of the mind from mortal things. Et miserarium seclivius oblivio, and also forgetting of the miseries of this world. Speratur is accepted. They're just sort of reusing the verb there. Quae nomine obdormitionis et somni decenter prophetice significatur. So this alienation and oblivion, and we know, by the way, that the que here is referring back to alienatio and oblivio, because que is nominative feminine singular, and alienatio and oblivio are both nominative feminine singular. So that which, by the name of obdormition or of repose and of sleep, obdormitionis et somni, it is decently and prophetically implied. So Augustine is saying that when the psalm here is talking about falling, repose and taking rest, this is referring respectively to an alienation of the mind from mortal things and forgetting all of the woes of this world. Ubi summa pax nullo tumulto interpellari potest, where the highest peace can be, interjected, interrupted, nullo tumulto, by no tumult, by no disorder. So this is referring to, of course, like the peace that the faithful will receive after death. Said hoc iam non tenetur in hac vita, but this is not already held in this life. Said post hanc vitam sperandum est, but it is to be awaited after this life. Hoc etiam ipsa verba ostendunt. These words indeed show us this thing, hoc. Que futuri sunt temporis. These words referring to the psalm, which are of the future time. Non enim dictum est, for it is not said, and this next bit is quite good for anyone learning Latin, because it's one of the reasons actually I would recommend religious text commentaries and psalm commentaries written in the past for anybody who wants a good text to practice their Latin with, or any medieval language, including Old Saxon, which we will be doing. It's because these psalm commentaries sometimes actually go into the specifics of language, and they explore the specifics of what it actually means if a word were to change its inflection. So here Augustine says, what wasn't said was obdormivi et somnium cepi, which means I've reposed and I took my rest. Nor was it said obdormio et somnium capio, I fall asleep, or I repose and I take my rest. But what was said was obdormiam et somnium capiam, I will repose and I will take my rest. Tunc corruptibile hoc induetur incorruptione. Then this corruptible thing, referring, I believe, to just the repose and the peace, basically, that which is to be hoped for, sperandum est. Induetur incorruptione, it is endued, or it is clothed with incorruption. Et mortale hoc induetur immortalitate, and that which is mortal is clothed in immortality. It's really beautiful framing here. Tunc absorbebitur mors in victoriam. Then death will be absorbed into victory. Hoc est unde dicitur. That's why it says in Romans, si autem quod non videmus speramus, per patientiam expectamus. If, however, we hope for that which we do not see, per patientiam expectamus, we await through our patience, or we hope through suffering. So on to the next part of the psalm. I should quickly summarize what he's saying here. So basically, Augustine is saying here that the repose and the taking rest that is mentioned in Psalm 4:9 is a reference to the removal of the mind from mortal matters, and also to the forgetting of the miseries of this world, and that this is to be expected in the next life, not in this life, because when Christ comes again in glory, that which is mortal will become immortal, at least for the faithful. So, moving on, he says, and I'll read the Latin first before we go into it, qua propter congruenter ultimum annectit et dicit. Quoniam tu, Domine, singulare terrem spe habitare fecisti me, ic non dixit facies, sed fecisti, in quo ergo iam ista spes est, erit profecto etiam quod speratur, et bene et singulare ter, potes enim refervi adversus illos multos qui multiplicati a tempore frumenti vinir lei sui dicunt, qui sustendit nobis bona. Perdit enim ec multiplicitas, et singularitas tenetur in sanctis, de quibus dicitur in actibus apostolorum, multitudinis autem credentium erat anima una et corunum, Singulares ergo et simplices, id est secretia multitudine ac turba nascentium rerum ac morientium, amatores eternitatis et unitatis esse debemus, si uni Deo et Domino nostro cupimus inerere. Okay, so what does all of this mean? So, qua propter congruentur ultimum annectit. So, therefore, it suitably adds on this last bit of the psalm, et dicit, and he says, Quoniam tu, Domine, singulariter in spe habitare fecissime, since you, O Lord, have uniquely made me to reside in hope. Me habitare in spe fecissime, you have made me to reside in hope. Hic, and this means this man, referring to David. So David did not say facies, which is you will make, it said fecisti, you have made. In quo ergo iam ista spes est, in which, therefore, this hope of, immortality already exists. Erit profecto etiam quod speratur. The hope is that that which is hoped for will be erit going forward, profecto in the future. Et bene ait, and he said, singulariter, meaning uniquely, potest enim referi adversos iltos mullos, since it can be related to as an opposition to those many who, qui, multiplicatia tempore fermenti venit lei sui, multiplied by the time of their grain, wine, and oil, they say, qui sustendit nobis bona, who will show us benefits. Perdit enim ec multiplicitas. For this multiplicity perishes, et singularitas tenetur in sanctis. And a singularity is held among the saints. De quibus dicitur in actibus apostolorum, about whom it is said in the Acts of the Apostles, multitudinis autem credentium erat anima una et cor unum. There was one mind and one heart of the multitude of those who are believing, multitudinis credentium. Singulares ergo et simplices, the singular and or single-minded ones and the simple. Id est secretia multitudine ac turba nascentium rerum ac morientium. So that is those men who are removed from the crowd, from the multitude and the crowd of growing things, nascentium rerum. Because, and I'll do some more videos on this in the future, but St. Augustine, out of all the patristics, is very, very opposed to reproduction, basically, and marriage. He says it's better not to get married. That the only thing it's good for is carrying on this world, and there's no point in carrying on the secular world. We should await Christ's second coming instead. So that's what he's referring to, probably with the nascentium rerum, the things being born, ac morientium, and the things which are dying. Amatores eternitatis. They are lovers of eternity and unity, et unitatis esse debemus. We should be lovers of eternity and unity. Si uni Deo et Domino nostro cupimus inerere. If we wish to adhere to the one God and our Lord. So what Augustine is saying here is that because the psalm says, you have made me live in hope, that's saying that we already have the hope, and it's a promise that what is to come will in fact come, so we don't need to talk about it with the future tense because it's already here, so to speak. And when David says singularly, it can refer to, it can be taken as a contrast to those various secular people who talks about who will show us good things, because that multiplicity here, which is what he's saying, will perish, and the singularity in terms of the sort of the one the singular focus on God is a source of solace, because they're saying who will show us good things. Whereas if I go back earlier, Augustine, at least at one point earlier, when talking about these people, talks about how a mind which is taken up by temporary secular desires cannot see the simplex bonum, the one simple good thing, referring to the good of other people and also to the good of Jesus himself. So he's saying that the multiplicity of being interested in secular goods or multa bona sort of distracts one from the simplex bonum. And that simplex bonum is represented by the singularity, which is held among the saints. And then he references a line in the Acts of the Apostles, which talks about the crowd of the faithful having one mind and one heart. And he says that we should be single-minded and simple, and that means that we should be removed from the multitude and crowd of dying and birthing things, and we should be lovers of eternity and simplicity if we wish to adhere to our one God and Lord. And so there we go. I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you want me to teach you Latin so that you can read through these things on your own, you can subscribe to my Patreon, which will be linked in the description of this video. You can also join my Discord server, and for Latin, we actually have a couple of people there who are quite knowledgeable at Latin, who aren't me. So in my Discord server, I can't guarantee that you'll get an answer if you ask a question from me about Latin, but we have a good few people there now who can probably help you out if you're trying to learn. Thank you to my 4 patrons who I currently have, because you make these videos possible. Until next time, like, comment, subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a nice day. Bye, everyone.